Guys, our Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale is now live over on fademe.store. Check it out. You can also head to guybostonsports.com/store, up to 50% off site wide. We have hats as low as like $9.99, t-shirts as low as $14.99. Go check it out, guys. Again, that's fademe.store or go to guybostonsports.com/store. They'll both take you to the same place. I am super excited for this. We've never done a deal this big, and we're running it from Wednesday today, November 26th, all the way through next Tuesday, December 2nd. So you got plenty of time to capitalize, but I would not wait. You don't want to miss. You don't want something to sell out that you would have gotten. So go check it out, guys. Again, fademe.store, up to 50% off site-wide. I'll put that link down in the pinned comment as well. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, November 26th. We have a 9-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays, so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest, if you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. In terms of yesterday, it was a small, 3-game slate, so we just put together a slimy parlay, and yeah, it didn't come through there. That Hawks game, we did not have pegged all of that correctly. We had the Hawks money line and Jalen Johnson just 15+ points, neither one of which came to fruition. I mean, Austin Reeves went off. That's great. Desmond Bane got his 15, but that Hawks game against the Wizards of all teams did not come through for us. But it was just a half-unit play on a slate in which we didn't really love. So I'm not going to cry over the little bit of spilled milk, but hopefully we can bounce back today. In terms of the ride of the day, we got a couple things to do here. Fire, Fist, Justin, pumping some crowd noise for my man. This is his third ride of the day cash in a row, and they've all been team totals. The guy is a team total savant. So shout out to Fire. Unfortunately, my main man here, J Fizz, Zubac, over 10.5 rebounds. You know the rules. He's been a part of this community for enough time. Dropping the womp womp on you, Jay. Zubac finished with 10 rebounds. Right there. Just shy. Tough loss. You can see the tracker is up to date. Jay, we could take you out of the active there, but Justin still on his 3-win streak there. And yeah, in terms of where guys have ranked so far this year, you can see we still have a really good top of the leaderboard, and Fire Fist is looking to tie the record in terms of days in a row. So shout out to him. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. You use that hashtag ride of the day, or ROTD, down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day, at least one person's play, and give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to roll and ride of the plays. If you lose, you still get the shout out, but we're talking about the loss, and I don't think anybody wants that, right? Now, I will say, FYI, this is for both the ride of the day and just the video in general. I'm recording this like 4:30 a.m. right now, a little bit after that, and I'm going to be on a plane by the time you guys are most of you watching this. So things with the pinned comment and updates may be a little sluggish to get out there. We're going to do our best, but we are traveling for Thanksgiving. So just, bear with me in terms of posting the ride of the day and stuff like that. It'll be down in the comments once, Justin obviously gets it in, and same thing with the final plays. We'll get them in as soon as possible. But it's super early right now. We're about to get on a flight pretty damn soon out to the West Coast. So I guess I'm just FYI. If I'm stumbling over my words, if I look like I didn't get my beauty rest, it's because I didn't. Just FYI there. But what do you say we go ahead and dive into this slate, guys? Game number 1 is going to be my Boston Celtics taking on the Pistons here. This should actually be a fairly good game. Now, no Kata for the Celtics. Detroit looking like they're getting healthier and healthier, right? I will say one thing, and we can actually just dive into the dashboard, and I kind of show you guys this more than, just explaining it. Now, this is a Detroit team that, yes, I'm willing to admit, is the better team right now over the Celtics. But there's a couple reasons why I don't mind the Celtics plus 3.5 today. Mainly looking at it from this. The Celtics, who obviously like to shoot from 3, it's not really Detroit's specialty, right? They're just a middle-of-the-pack team in terms of stopping the 3. The Celtics, third in terms of above the break frequency. And Detroit's going to want to score at the rack and in the rim, right? They're only, they're number 1 in terms of points in the paint, but the Celtics are number 3. Now, does no Queta hurt that? In a way, probably, and I would say yes, it does, right? But I still do think that the Celtics can keep this team out of the restricted area. You can see that second in terms of frequency from Detroit, but you know what? The Celtics third best at preventing teams from even shooting in the paint. Now, you're like, okay, well, that's good defensively, but I mentioned the 3 points, right? The Celtics obviously like to run the 3-point shots, and from a catch and shoot standpoint, this Pistons team is not all that great. 22nd in both effective field goal percentage and frequency. So I think some of these guys may have some catch and shoot opportunities on our hands. I'm going to lean towards the Celtics plus the 3.5 points. That total at 229.5. I think that one of these teams plays good defense today. Even if I'm dead wrong about the Celtics being able to hit from 3, I think that, they could play some good defense even if the Pistons win this game and win it by 5 points. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the under. And I don't really have player prop spots I like. I would look at some of the catch and shoot guys on the Celtics, but in reality, this is a team that does a lot more pull-up threes. So if you're talking about catch and shoot, you're probably thinking Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, that type of thing. So maybe those are, I guess, worth looking into in a sense. But overall, I think that that's where I'm leaning as of right now. More so, hey, if the Celtics are going to hit their threes, we might as well just look at them on the spread. We don't need to figure out which guy is going to hit those catch and shoots, if that makes sense. Next up, we look at Charlotte taking on the Knicks. Now, this spread is 6.5, which I do think is a little low. So obviously, I'm kind of, showing you my hand there. I do like the idea of the Knicks in this spot. I just think that they are much better than the Charlotte squad. And honestly, they have been playing decent enough basketball for me to look their way, whereas Charlotte is just 1-9 in their last 10 games. Now, the Knicks are on the road here, and they're just 2-5 on the road, but I think with a little bit more, NBA Cup juice and stuff like that, they get the job done here today. The Knicks obviously going to be a team that can score multiple ways, but I don't know if Charlotte has much of a chance stopping them, kind of regardless of how we see this team wanting to score, right? The Knicks, whether they want to score in the paint, great. Charlotte, bottom 10 team in terms of allowing points in the paint. Okay, if they want to shoot from 3, which the Knicks right now, the number 2 team in the league in terms of scoring from 3. They are middle of the pack on the road, but still number 2 team in terms of scoring from 3. Charlotte, bottom 10 team. So yeah, it doesn't really look like Charlotte's going to put up much of a fight from a, defensive standpoint. And by the way, guys, this is the NBA dashboard if you want to check it out. GuyBostonSports.com. Head to the members area. Sign up today for the all sports dashboard. You use code EV5, EV5. So my name, nickname, 5, just 3 characters, EV5. You get your first month for $4.99. We're only running that through November, so you have a handful of days left to capitalize on that. Do not miss out on this. But like I mentioned, you could see here, this is a Charlotte team, honestly, bottom 6 in the league when it comes to defensive efficiency. But whether it's in the paint, whether it's from 3, New York should be able to score here, right? So I do think that I end up leaning towards, the Knicks at the 6.5 number. I don't think it's all that crazy high. My only concern is, the Knicks are on the road, and that is not where they've been great this year. 2-5 on the road versus 8-1 at home. I get it, but I think the Knicks put up a decent enough number. I'd also consider their team total over in this spot. Like I mentioned, whether it's down low, whether it's from above the break, or whether it's from just 3 points line in general, I think that they can give you something today. So maybe over 120.5 if we're looking at a team total. But at that point, you might just want to lay the 6.5, because is Charlotte really going to, put up enough to cover them in this spot if the Knicks are scoring 125 or something like that? Not all that sure. In terms of where we go from a player prop standpoint, I do like Con Knipple on the Charlotte side of things to hit some threes. He's obviously a spot-up guy, a catch-and-shoot guy. That should work pretty damn well in terms of, going up against this squad. On the other side of things, I don't mind the idea of someone like, Deuce McBride, who's going to have a relatively low line in a game in which he's probably going to get his looks. The Charlotte team, like I mentioned, definitely struggles from outside. Deuce McBride, 48% of his points come from above the break 3. So I think that could be a good enough spot there. I also do think it's the type of game where outside of points, you could look at someone like Josh Hart or something like that, getting some rebounds and assists, assuming that his minutes are there today. Next up, we have Toronto taking on the Pacers. Pacers have now lost 9 of their last 10 games. I will give them a little bit of, cushion here that they have played a tough schedule just recently. But the Raptors, I do think, are the better team. And speaking of 9 of their last 10 of something, the Raptors have won 9 of their last 10. And these two teams just met about, a week and a half ago? And it was in Indiana, and Toronto said, hey, you know what? We're 6-point favorites. We'll double that up and beat you by, what do they win by, like 18? Something like that, right? Which makes sense to me because the Pacers like to run. Well, okay, the Raptors can run as well, and they actually play really good transition defense. 50.2% allowed to their opponents. They want to score in the paint. Okay, well, the Pacers, one on the road, are the worst paint defense so far this season, and just in general, they're allowing the second most points from the paint here. So I do think that this is another spot in which I look at Toronto and say, okay, the only thing the Pacers do really well, and I will give them credit, I do think if you watch, it's the eye test and the numbers, right? Just on the data. This is a Pacers team that covers the perimeter pretty damn well. They really do. Toronto's doesn't give a crap about the perimeter, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to say, hey, we'll beat you inside, we're going to drive on you, we don't need the perimeter game. And you can even see it here. It's proven by the fact that they are bottom 10 in terms of frequency, both above the break and on the corner. And check it out, this is what I meant. See how the Pacers are actually green, in terms of what we weigh in our weighted average. You could see Toronto pretty much runs away with everything, except the Pacers being a good perimeter defense. And yeah, it kind of gets proven out here too. 30.3% of their opponents from, above the break. But the Raptors don't care, right? They're looking at this, 51.4 in the paint, 50.6 in the mid-range, even the restricted area, right? Nearly 70% of their opponents. So I don't see any reason to not like the Raptors in this spot. They're healthy enough. RJ Barrett's out, but I still do think that, with Quickly, Scotty Barnes, and Ingram, obviously Jakob Poeltl being able to dominate here too, I like the Raptors. The problem, or I guess I should say the question is, do we like them by 11 points? Do we like them by 10 points? I do, but maybe there's a slimy parlay that we can craft from. By the way, guys, we got questions yesterday because I even put it with the final plays. Like, why'd you say slimy parlay? What's that mean? It's just like a fun term we've said probably over the last year or so, where it's like we take something that just is an alternate line. It's slimy. It feels filthy taken. Because, like, if we were to parlay, say, Toronto and another big favorite today, it's like, yeah, they just feel weird. Obviously, those types of things don't seem to happen, right? They seem like they're foregone conclusions, but when you put them in a parlay, you're like, huh? I don't know about that. Just feels kind of icky, right? So that's all it is. There's no technicalities or technical reason behind why we call it that. But give me Toronto in this spot, maybe, like I mentioned, in some sort of a parlay instead of laying 10 points. But they're at home here. I don't necessarily mind the idea of laying 10 points, which is crazy. But the Pacers are 0-9 on the road this season. 0-9 on the road this season. In terms of a total, I do think, like I mentioned, this Pacers team will want to run. I just worry that, they aren't going to be able to score. They're not exactly the most efficient offense. In fact, second worst in the entire league. And Toronto's a top 10 defense, if you ask me. So I do think that this is a high number for two teams to contribute towards. Maybe it's very similar to what we like to do in terms of trimming the fat or beating around the bush a little. We look at Toronto's team total over, right? In terms of player props, I don't mind the idea of either Brandon Ingram or Scotty Barnes. We've had plenty of success this year doing, Raptors same game parlays where we knock these guys' lines down, and we do that because, well, let's be real. This is a Raptors team that has had plenty of, your turn, my turn, like possessions. I've been saying that all year long. They have a really good starting five. It's just like you never know exactly which guy is going to go off. Now, Brandon Ingram had 37 points against the Cavs last time out. Scotty Barnes has not really hit his over. His line's at 19.5 right now consistently this year. But both of these guys I do trust to maybe get, 15 points. So there may be some legs there. I'm thinking Brandon Ingram's line is going to be super juiced for 15, so it might not even be same game parlayable, but I think that that's a little bit of the direction that I would head in today. But guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. They have an awesome deal going on right now, and I do mean awesome. Other than the Devin Booker free square, which that's clearly awesome, right? They're also giving you a free $20 entry upon signup. You do not even need to deposit. Did you hear that? Do not clip this. No need to deposit. I can't believe I just did that. $20 free for an entry just by signing up. You're going to want to deposit, and you'll get a deposit match when doing so because Sleeper is that great. But go check it out. What better time to do so than now than getting a free $20 and this Devin Booker square? So check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. I'm not going to double fist the mic again. Link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into these games. Heat taking on the Bucks. We do have a Heat team that seems to be getting a little bit more healthy, right? Andrew Wiggins, questionable. We do have Norm Powell is probable, but Tyler Hero is back. No Terry Rozier still, but on the Bucks side of things, I guess you could say a similar thing, right? Like Giannis most likely to play in this one, so we should have a decent enough game. I shouldn't say the Heat are getting more healthy, but Tyler Hero coming back, Andrew Wiggins coming back, Norm Powell probable. They still do have Jovic and Jaime Jaquez as questionable. But nonetheless, I do think that the Heat team is very good, and we've seen that, right? They've now won 5 straight games. They beat New York and covered. They beat Golden State and covered. They beat Chicago and covered. They beat Philadelphia and covered. They barely didn't cover against Dallas, but still won that game. And they're 8-1 so far this year at home. So it's hard for me to get behind the Bucks when they're just 3-4 at home. On the road. They're 7-11 overall this season. And realistically, this Heat squad is a really good defense, top 5 defense in the league. Now, they do like to score the ball, right? They are the number 1 scoring team just as of, right now. Actually, as of, that's off the top of my head, as of last game. I think Tyler Hero gives them a lot of a burst here, and realistically, he kind of fits against this Milwaukee team well. We're gonna see him in the isolation plenty and being able to shoot from, say, the mid-range and stuff like that. So I do like him. I also don't mind Andrew Wiggins if he plays, for both those guys to contribute, but I'm gonna lean towards the Heat. I know I mentioned their defense, but I could also see a decent amount of points here in this game, just given the fact that Milwaukee, if they start hitting from 3, which is a decent enough way to attack this Heat team, we could have some problems. So maybe an AJ Green look as well, just because obviously who is going to be jacking from 3? I would say him. And, right now, Miami's a bottom 10 teams in terms of spot up. AJ Green scores more than half of his points from that. So if you want to take a peek at him, I definitely would sign off on that. You can get over 2.5 threes, which would be obviously 9 points for -113, or you could just look at 9.5. Hope he gets 1 bucket, 1 place else, and you get plus money today. So those are a couple things that I would consider. Thunder taking on the Timberwolves. Obviously, this Timberwolves team is pretty good, but they have dropped 2 straight games. They're going up against a Thunder team that hasn't lost yet at home this year. I mean, they've only lost 1 game in general. They're 17-1. But it's really important to note that Shea is listed as questionable here, right? I think he has an illness. So those ones can kind of hit or miss in terms of the guy playing or not. We don't know too much about it. It's not like a bone bruise or just a little bit of a bruise or a cut or something like that. It's like, and then illness, we don't know exactly what type of illness we're talking about here. I think I lean Minnesota. I think this Minnesota team is due for a little bit of a bounce back. They're still a really good offense and I would say a really good defense, and they can hang in the paint defensively, right? Whether it's Rudy, whether it's Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, we do have a decent enough defense on the Minnesota side of things. Do I think that they come out here and just, mollywop and score a bunch offensively on the Thunder? No, I think that they contend in this one via defense, so I'm also going to lean towards the under in this spot. This game would not surprise me at all if we're looking at like a 113-106 game or something like that towards the end of it. So I like Minnesota. I also don't mind the under in this spot. My only concern with taking the under is if you look at these two teams on the season, to a 227.5 line, right? Or 227.5. Minnesota has gone over in 76% of their games. They've gone over in 78% on the road, including 4 of their last 5. And Oklahoma City at home this year, overall has gone over this line nearly 60%. At home, though, 50-50 the line, including 3 straight unders. So maybe, just maybe, that's good on the OKC side of things. But we really got to hope that Minnesota does truly slow things down and doesn't go crazy, because they are the team that will slow the pace down here. They're ranked 21st in pace compared to OKC's 4th. So I don't mind the under, but give me Minnesota plus the 8.5. I'll sound the psycho alert alarm because it's technically going against the number, against the Thunder at home. which is just ludicrous. But truly, I do think it could be a decent enough spot to take a peek. Like 8.5 is a big number to lay with this Thunder team when going up against a talented team like Minnesota, right? Now, in terms of player props, this is a tough one. I want to look at like a DiVincenzo or even a Nas, like at Nas Reed or something like that. Some guys that maybe specialize to some degree in the catch and shoot. Those would be the two guys that I take a peek at, but let's not just gloss by the fact that this is still a really good Thunder team. Is it smart to be taking overs in this game when we like the under, we like Minnesota keeping it close? I guess it correlates to take Minnesota guys, but it is a really tough player prop spot overall, you know what I mean? And you might be like, oh, why don't you just take the unders? Well, there's a ton of good players in this game, too, that I don't necessarily want to fade. Like, even Shea, as him being sick, it's like, I'm not going to take the under for Shea. I don't care if he's sick. I don't care if he has one leg one game. This guy can still give you 35 at the drop of a hat. All right, we got the Pels taking on the Grizz. Now, this is definitely, out of all the games we have on today, not one of my favorites, but hey, we do every single game here, so we got to make do with that. And by the way, I should mention this, that we will be traveling, like I already said at the beginning of the show, so some different versions of the videos may be coming the next couple days. I hope everyone does enjoy the holidays and stuff like that, so, you know, we're going to do the same. So do appreciate your, I guess, consideration and patience in advance. This game, you know, Minnesota has owned this team. In the last 8 meetings, they've won 7 of them. I believe they've covered in 6 or 7 of those as well. But like did I say Minnesota? Memphis is not all that great, especially with the team that they're trotting out there lately, right? Like, this is going to be a no Ja Morant team. I mean, it looks like Jaren Jackson's back. You have Zion on the other end, so those guys can duke it out. It's really tough to pick your poison in this game. The one thing that I will say is I think the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, I should say, have a little bit more upside when it comes to playing good defense. Now, are they a good defense or anything like that? I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I do think that they can be a little bit more efficient than this Pelicans squad, and I do think that overall, like, they can honestly be more efficient on the offensive end as well, whereas this Pelicans team just doesn't really have much of a upside, right? So I do lean Memphis in this spot. The fact that we're getting in a pick 'em seems like it's a decent enough spot for me. Do I wish that Ja Morant was playing? Sure. But, you know, they have Jaren Jackson. Cedric Howard's been really, really good this year, too. So I think there's enough talent there for this team to be able to take the win. Now, they also have a couple decent enough wins recently, right? They beat Sacramento. They beat them 137-96. They beat Dallas 102-96. This Pelicans team is coming off of a loss. And I don't think that they win, coming off a win. I don't think that they win 2 games in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were to apply this plus 1 point spread to them on the season, it's not looking all that dandy, right? In terms of them this year, and I guess when you say +1, it's essentially looking at them, you know, on the money line, but they would have only covered in 17 games so far, and 17% of their games, and only 20% of their games at home. I think it's Grizzlies for me. That total's a little weird because, again, you have 2 teams that are very, very inefficient. I guess I'll lean over because I still don't trust the defenses, but I mean, can we really trust the offenses? Not sure. Grizzlies or nothing in this game, and honestly, the more and more I talk about it, the more and more somehow I might want to pull the trigger on the Grizzlies because I think Jaren Jackson and some of those young guys could have a good game today. That's crazy. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, actually, this may make its way onto my ticket. Maybe it's just because it's real early in the morning. Warriors taking on the Rockets. Still no Kevin Durant in this game. Draymond Green also listed on the injury report. He is probable. No Al Horford, no Kuminga here as well. This is an interesting one because I will say I think that this is a Rockets team that may struggle without Durant, but they took care of business against Phoenix, 114-94. Now, the Dubs are a little bit more of a contending team, right? Especially when at home. They're 6-1 so far this year. But ultimately, are we overreacting to no Durant? Like, at this point, like, this is still such a good defensive team. And, you know, I guess the one thing is that the Rockets don't play the best perimeter defense, and the Warriors like to score from there. But as long as the Rockets say, hey, we're not going to let Steph Curry beat us, I think it's going to be tough for, you know, the Warriors to really move the needle. Now, a spot that we may look at player prop wise. So, by the way, yes, I like the Rockets. The fact that you're getting the Rockets at a plus number as one of the best teams in the league, both offensively and defensively, I just can't look away from it. I do get, though, why we have the Warriors as favorites. No Durant, they're really good at home, and they like the perimeter Rockets. If there's any flaw in their defense, it's on the perimeter. I get it. I think I'm going to take a peek yet again at Moses Moody just because of that perimeter. I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis on Shea. Moses Moody at 11.5 points here, still a decent enough look. And we cashed that, we've cashed on him a couple times this year, but more recently we hit on him just a couple days ago, right? So I like him over 11.5 points. I have him pegged for 13 points as a floor right now, and that's if he plays 28 minutes. If this guy goes in, and actually if we enter custom minutes right now, say he plays, 31 minutes or something like that, which isn't like a crazy thought, he jumps up to 14 points, which is obviously a little bit better. It's still a thin margin, but obviously a little bit better. And in terms of, you might be asking why I'm bumping him up to 31 minutes. Well, in terms of, I would say bigger games this year, we've actually seen him play 33 minutes against some teams, 35 minutes against Miami recently. Last game he played 29 minutes against Utah and had 15 points. This is a Houston team that, again, I do think is very, very good defensively, but overall, I don't necessarily think that they're great at stopping the three, and 58%, nearly 60% of his points do come from downtown. So yeah, it could be a good spot. Again, I think that that's how you attack this Rockets team, and you throw in the fact that they're going to give a lot of shadowing to Steph. Might be a good spot to look. So give me the Rockets as well as Moses Moody. In terms of a total, man, oh man, I've gone back and forth in this one. I really have. And that's because if you think that this is going to be an over, I honestly think that might end up leaning towards the Warriors, because that means they're hitting their shots and everything like that. I'm going to slightly lean under in this game, even though it's a pretty, low number at 225.5 with some of the talent we have here. But I think that this is going to be a Rockets team that does give Steph Curry some trouble and stuff like that. So give me them. Give me the under in this spot. I think we have this game pegged right around a 223 number. So it is damn close to that 225.5. All right, Kings taking on the Suns here. Suns coming off of, we just kind of mentioned, right, that loss to the Rockets. Sacramento had I don't even know if they had a great win over Minnesota or Minnesota collapsed that one a couple days ago, but they are, yes, indeed, coming off of a win. Now, 4.5 points doesn't seem like it's a lot to hand to this Kings squad, especially without Domantas Sabonis. So I'm struggling to see where this line or why this line is at our fingertips, because I think the Suns team can score in multiple ways here, whether it's, in the mid-range, I think they could score, in the paint, I think they could score, and if they need to drain their downtown threes, Royce O'Neal, Dylan Brooks, I think they can score. So I think this is going to be a spot in which I do like the Suns. Now, are they going to run in transition a whole hell of a lot? Not really, right? They're a bottom 5-6 team in terms of pace, but Sacramento, at home this year, 57% of their games have gone over. Phoenix is, when they're on the road, 71% of their games have gone over. So I don't mean to say that, this is a spot in which I like the over necessarily in the game, but if I just kind of talked up that the Suns may be able to score in, multiple ways, I kind of like the idea of their team total over right now. You can get it at -1 at 115.5 for, right around -150 right now. That might be a spot in which we consider it. Last time they played was earlier in the year on the 22nd, and the Suns gave them 120. So if they can get to 120, definitely don't mind that spot. In terms of them hitting that line this year, yeah, it's only been 9 of 18 games, but 3 of their last 5 road games overall. And for what it's worth, Sacramento's allowing their opponents 123.7. So I think this could be a spot in which I convince myself that, Phoenix will drop 116 or something like that. So keep an eye on the final plays. That's definitely got a chance to be a final play. I do just almost worry myself a little bit that, okay, well, yeah, this Phoenix team obviously plays at a slower pace sometimes, but they've just become a top 10 team in terms of offensive efficiency, going up against Sacramento, who is a bottom 3 team in the league, something like that. So yeah, I think that they should be able to go in there and put up a decent enough number. We have them pegged right now pretty damn close, but at 118. So that's how I'd play this one. It's kind of a mix of both the spread and the total. In terms of what you'd be looking at for a player prop here, I think Devin Booker plays well, but realistically, if you want some value, maybe there is another look at Royce O'Neal and him hitting some threes in this spot. Portland taking on the Spurs. This is a tough-ish one, I would say. San Antonio obviously dealing with a decent amount with Wemby being out, Castle being out, but Portland also has their own injuries. Now, Sharp is questionable in this one, but still no Jrue Holiday, which I do think that is a massive piece to this squad. So I struggle to like the Trailblazers when no Jrue Holiday. I think that he's just actually a very big fundamental piece of that team's, success. When I say success, it's almost like it's running out now. Remember how they started pretty hot? They're just 3-7 now in their last 10. San Antonio has made do without Wemby, and it makes sense. You still have a good team around them, whether you're looking at Fox, whether you're looking at Vassell, even Champagny, Harrison Barnes, upset Scotty Barnes. I think that these guys are a little bit better than the talent that we have in Portland. Now, I'm not trying to diminish Denny Avdija. He's obviously been very, very good this year, having a fantastic season. But it's like you go Fox, maybe Denny, and then I think the Spurs have 3, 4, 5 in terms of where you rank the players. So if you're giving me the Spurs at a plus number, I think that's the direction I lean in. In terms of total at 228.5, it is a little bit higher than I have pegged here, but makes a little bit of sense, right? You have two squads that, do like to run. San Antonio less so, but Portland definitely likes to run. I think San Antonio can put up some numbers, whether it's in the paint or even from downtown here. I think I'm going to lean over 238.5. Yeah, it's a big number, but like I said, we have this game pegged to 237. I think there could be a couple more points that come by way of stumbling onto them than what we even have pegged. So I'm going to lean slightly to the over there. This is a slight lean type game all the way around, if I'm being honest. In terms of where we go player prop wise, I would target Spurs, maybe someone like Devin Vassell, because he can hit those pull-ups, he can hit the spot ups, but that mid-range could be something to consider here as well for him. And obviously with no Wemby, maybe he gets a few extra shots in there. De'Aaron Fox, another guy that may be worth considering, because if this game is up tempo, he loves transition, and he also loves the pick and roll, which could be a decent enough spot for him as well. So I think there could be some Spurs looks targeting this Portland defense overall. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment 31 if you made it this far in the video. Really do appreciate it. Hope everyone has an amazing Thanksgiving. I'm not sure if we'll have NBA coming out tomorrow, but we do have tons and tons of content, more football focused, coming out in the next I don't even know if there is NBA games tomorrow now that I say it out loud, but tons of football content coming out. So I won't talk to you about NBA tomorrow, but really do appreciate it. Again, we're going to be traveling for the next few days over to the West Coast, so appreciate you bearing with me in terms of the setups and the quality of the videos coming up. So really do appreciate that. Catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.